So if you haven't heard by now, Sony has announced a new service for the PlayStation 4 called PlayStation Now. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much a gaming streaming service. A year or so ago, Sony bought Gakkai, I'm going to call them Gakkai, or Gakkai, whatever you want to call them. They're a game streaming service. They bought them outright. They were streaming games to PCs, and now they're going to be streaming exclusively to Sony devices. And so what PlayStation Now is going to be is pretty much kind of like, let's take Netflix. If you're unfamiliar with this idea, it's like Netflix for games. So what you're doing is you're not downloading a game directly. You're just playing it from your home through the cloud, through Sony's remote servers. So if you have a bad internet connection, the game is going to it's going to get blurrier, or there's going to be a worse latency, and you're going to have lag problems. So what Sony has officially said today is that they recommend a 5 megabit per second internet connection or better for a good experience, whatever they qualify as a good experience. Now, that doesn't sound like a big number, but a large percentage of, at least people in America, probably outside of America too, do not have access to an internet connection that fast. And with so many companies, internet companies, pushing for less net neutrality and pretty much trying to take control and bandwidth caps, and really, it's a big middle finger to you, is what they're doing. This is kind of an experimental thing that may or may not work until there's more regulation stopping these companies from trying to screw you over. So that's what they recommend. 5 megabits per second or better, probably better. But like I said, a large portion of the country does not even have access to that kind of connection if they wanted it. So this kind of service would really be off limits to them. Now, what does this mean? What does this service mean? Well, Sony announced that this is going to be playable on your PlayStation 4. You'll be able to play PS4 games, PS3 games, and who knows what other kind of PS games. But it's not going to just play on PlayStation 4s. On 2014 Bravia TVs, that's Sony's television brand, you're going to be able to use PlayStation Now on there too. Now, let me make this clear that this is a subscription service. You do have to pay money for this, just like Netflix, just like Hulu Plus, whatever. You got to pay money. Sony hasn't said how much it's going to cost. Now, like most gaming services compared to their movie counterparts, it's probably going to cost more. So you're probably going to be spending more than $8 a month on this. But it is what it is. Now, Sony's going out, right? They're just trying to cover their tracks here. They're trying to cover their ass, really, by saying that this is not an answer to backwards compatibility, because they don't want people jumping on their ass saying, hey, well, why don't you just make this backwards compatible? Why do I have to pay money to play my old games that I already own? So they're saying that, hey, this isn't backwards compatibility. Another thing they're saying is that this isn't going to end, this isn't going to be the end of consoles for Sony. This isn't going to kill this isn't going to kill any chance of a PlayStation 5. And you know what? I think that's bullshit. I think that this very well may kill the PlayStation 5. There may never be a PlayStation 5. This kind of service might be the end-all, be-all here. And it's really just a matter of whether or not internet connections, internet rules and laws in general start to breathe a little bit more and make this sort of thing possible. And it also is going to have to allow more people around the world to get these kind of connections. So there very well may not be a PlayStation 5. We may be looking at a future where you do have to pay monthly subscriptions for all of your games, at least on PlayStation. That's my thoughts, though, and I think it's very possible that this is the future that we're living in, because if you think about it, because Sony said that this isn't just going to be on the PlayStation 4 and the Bravia TVs, that this is also going to be expanding out to non-Sony devices in the future. Non-Sony devices. This is like almost like going third party with it. They're taking the exclusivity out of PlayStation and putting it on other devices, because they still have control pretty much over the way these things play, because they're being played on a server somewhere in Sony headquarters somewhere. It's not relying on the hardware, so that Sony doesn't have to worry about things playing the same way, much like people that make phone games do, because there's so many different phones out there that games don't always play the same way. You don't have that problem with the streaming service. The only problem you have is with your own internet provider. So if you have beef, it's not with Sony, it's with your shitty ISP, and that's the plan, I think. And I think there very well may not be a PlayStation 5 if this is successful. It's really going to depend on how much it costs. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts on PlayStation Now? Share them in the comments section below. Also, I got a comedy channel. You should check that out. It's really funny stuff. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.